Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful stories of transformation you'll ever hear. It's all about a single moment that completely reoriented a man's reality, his purpose, his entire future. So yeah, let's get right into it.
So, what happens when your world just shatters? I mean, it's a question we all face at some point, right? That moment when the foundations of everything you thought you knew, your stability, your security, that sense of normalcy, it all just crumbles. Well, this ancient story, it begins right at that breaking point.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're talking about a kingdom in total crisis. We're being transported back to a specific moment in history, a kingdom just teetering on the brink of profound uncertainty. And trust me, this isn't just some date on a calendar. It was more like a cultural and political earthquake.
Okay, so the story kicks off with this line. In the year that King Uzziah died. Now, to really get the shock of that, you have to understand this king had reigned for over 50 years. I mean, he was the only king an entire generation had ever known. So his death wasn't just, the king is dead. No, it was the end of an era. It created this massive power vacuum and a real national sense of dread. The world, as they knew it, had literally just collapsed.
And it's right in the middle of all this earthly chaos and uncertainty that the prophet Isaiah decides to go to the temple. But what he finds there, well, it isn't earthly at all. His entire reality is about to be completely upended by something truly unimaginable.
He saw the Lord. I mean, just like that, right there in the middle of a huge national crisis, it's like the veil between heaven and earth is pulled back for a second, and Isaiah sees the ultimate authority, the real king.
And this wasn't some distant, vague image either. The text says God was high and lifted up. The vision is one of just immense scale and majesty. The language here is really trying to get across something so overwhelmingly large, it's just beyond our human comprehension.
He was seated on a throne, and this is such a brilliant contrast when you think about it. The throne of Judah is now empty, right? The kingdom is in turmoil. But Isaiah sees the one throne that is never vacant, the seat of true, unshakable power. You see, earthly kings may die, but the King of Heaven, he reigns forever.
And surrounding this throne are beings, well, they're unlike anything on earth. They're called the seraphim, which literally translates to the burning ones. These are creatures of pure divine fire, just hovering above the throne in the presence of God. Their very existence is a testament to his holiness.
And what are they doing? They're crying out in this constant, thundering chorus, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord." Now that repetition, holy, 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 it's not just for emphasis. In ancient Hebrew, repeating something 3 times was a way of saying it's the ultimate, the absolute. It's meant to convey the complete otherness of God. His holiness is so profound, it's his very nature.
And get this wasn't some quiet, passive vision. The sound of their voices was so powerful that the text says the foundations of the temple shook, and the whole place filled with smoke, which is often a symbol of God's presence. This was a full-on, multi-sensory, totally overwhelming experience. So all this awe and majesty, you'd think seeing something so incredible would be encouraging, right? But for Isaiah, it had a completely devastating effect. It was terrifying.
Why? Because in the blinding light of God's perfect holiness, Isaiah suddenly saw his own imperfection with just terrifying clarity. I mean, think about it. It's like holding a dirty rag up next to pure white snow. The contrast is absolutely crushing. He sees God, who is utterly holy and all-powerful on his throne, and then he looks at himself, a mortal man made of dust with what he calls unclean lips. He just felt completely undone.
And he cries out, "Woe is me! I am undone!" That word undone, it means he feels like he's literally disintegrating, just coming apart at the seams. In the presence of absolute perfection, he's convinced he's finished, utterly ruined, doomed. This is the absolute rock bottom of the story for him.
But right then, just when he hits rock bottom, something completely unexpected happens. The story makes this incredible pivot from judgment to grace, from despair to hope. And the solution, it comes from the very presence that caused his crisis in the first place.
So here's what happens. It's pretty fascinating. One of those burning seraphim flies over to the altar and grabs a burning coal with a pair of tongs. Then it flies over to Isaiah and touches his lips with it. It touches the very source of his shame, his unclean lips. And with that touch of holy fire, the seraph tells him his guilt is taken away, his sin is atoned for. Just like that, he's made clean.
And it's only now, only after being humbled, broken down,
and then cleansed that Isaiah is ready for what comes next. You see, he hasn't just been forgiven, he's been completely transformed. He's been prepared for a purpose.
Then God speaks. And what's so interesting here is that God doesn't just command Isaiah directly. Instead, he poses a question to the whole heavenly court, almost like he's looking for a volunteer. He asks, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?"
And Isaiah's response? The man who just moments before was crying, "Woe is me, I am undone." He now stands up and says, without a second of hesitation, "Here am I, send me." I mean, that is the ultimate transformation, isn't it? The person who felt completely unworthy is now the first to volunteer. He's gone from terror to trust, from despair to dedication.
And really, it all comes down to this. One moment can redefine a life. Isaiah's entire world pivoted in this single encounter. The crisis of his nation led him to a personal crisis, which then led to a divine cleansing, and finally, to his life's calling. His brokenness actually became the foundation for his mission.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? Isaiah's story shows that sometimes our most world-shattering moments, those times when we feel completely undone, they aren't the end. Sometimes they're the very beginning of our true purpose. So the question is, what profound moment is waiting to define you?